being honest about my feelings now is a whole new concept for me in general. It used to always just be anger. I'm kind of always letting the flower bloom a little more with what I'm growing as a human. I'm hoping that's always reflective on the songwriting side too. Yeah, baby.
Is that right?
How did that feel?
Okay.
I just immediately sit down. So when's the last time you had a good bowel movement?
Oh, I'm so sorry that's how this interview started. So our beginnings were interesting. It is so funny how much I love you now because, like, God, I hated you so much, man.
Yeah. I was just a little spiteful, bitter fucking dude. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, God.
I explain this to people and they don't understand the concept because of our age now. Whenever I talk to my daughter, I'm like, you gotta understand, there was only like 7 white rappers on earth at this time.
Yeah.
So it was so competitive when you was in that pool that we were kind of automatically forced against each other anyways.
For sure.
Yeah.
You're bred to hate each other.
And you were just like, just skinny and handsome. So I was like, I was just a hater. You know what I'm saying? I was just a hater. I was just a hater, dude. It's hard to grow up in front of the whole world. Just be like, man, I was just a hater. You know what I'm saying?
This might be one of my favorite MGK disses was fuck Machine Gun Kelly and his mohawk. Because you just had this southern drawl on your voice where you didn't say mohawk, you said mohawk. I was like, yeah, dude.
Fuck Machine Gun Kelly and his mohawk.
And that mohawk, dude, my mohawk was fucking just a nice 8 inches of just like egg whites and cheap hairspray. So I should have actually taken your advice and just like been like, I mean, fuck this mohawk and just like kept my hair healthy. But
you doubled down. I dissed the mohawk when it was small. By the way,
you're right. Yeah, maybe you were the reason why I just kept it growing.
That was your petty way of acknowledging me. I hated you even
fuck
more.
This mohawk.
I was
Okay.
like, I fucking hate this guy.
Yeah.
At least you had a reason to hate me. I was just a hater. At least you were like completely justified in that. I had to call and apologize to you.
That call was great.
Thank you. It was an awesome call, man.
Yeah.
And you answered on like second ring, and it was the coolest conversation I've ever had. It was so easy and just peaceful.
I'm very proud to know you, dude, and I'm proud of you, and I loved listening to the album, Beautifully Broken. Did the name of the album come from you, or did it come from passing a billboard on the street, or did it come from your daughter or your wife, you know, or was it just a eureka moment and you were like, this is the name of the album?
So, man, this is inside baseball. I didn't think I was ever gonna tell this part of the story, but since I'm talking to an artist, you'll get this. I couldn't do this with a regular interview. Beautifully Broken for me was a song that never was, that I just had trouble letting go of. I tried to write it a couple times and just couldn't figure it out. Like, I felt like it described me and my wife, like in our whole life. I feel like just like these 2 words together kind of like described everything that I stand for in this weird way. So I was like, this is like trying to write it. And I thought it was a cool play on words and I had it as a title. And I just could not land the plane on it. When we were looking at the project, because I dropped Ballads of the Broken a few years ago. And I was like, I really want to call this record Beautifully Broken. Remember, this is so inside baseball right now. You know this, and very few people, well, now everybody don't know it, but I wanted to call it Cinderella Man for the longest, because I feel like that was my personal story.
Yeah.
But the more I kept writing songs, I kept getting back to Beautifully Broken, because I don't think I'm necessarily I'm not telling my story as much no more. I'm realizing now that I'm telling our story. And I might be telling it from a first person perspective, but it gives me more perspective of the bigger picture. Like, I might feel like the Cinderella Man, but everybody in this arena feels beautifully broken. You know what I'm saying, baby? You see what I'm saying, baby?
Praise.
Instantly, let's just zoomed out and seen it for what it was. Because I try to write in themes You still write like that? I know that, because like, think about Hotel Diablo.
Yeah.
You're so good at things. Fuck, your last 2 records, the Big Rock records, you're like a theme writing artist too. We're in the middle of it now with Lonely Road. But it's like, I'm such a themed guy that like Whitsitt Chapel became kind of like this journey of my kind of mismanaged spirituality, of me being somewhere between high on a Saturday night and still at church Sunday, but I cuss a lot, and it's just kind of hard for people to digest. So I was like, well, I'll just do it this way, and I'll just present it in a package, maybe they'll get it. And I was blessed that people got it. This, I felt early in this writing process, was becoming my journal of mental health. You know what I mean? Like, I felt it real early. I was like, oh, I'm telling a direct, so man, I played you a lot of records, but a bunch of records that didn't make the album just because, I was writing them, but I was like, that's not what this story is. That's not what the Beautifully Broken story is, And it's probably it's the longest time I've ever took writing a single project.
Did you write this for fans? Did you write this for yourself? Like, what is the takeaway for people listening to Beautifully Broken?
I wrote this for us. It wasn't about me as much as it was us. Like I said, I might have wrote some of it from first person, but that's just always because it's easier for us to relate to it sometimes when we hear it like it's a first person. But man, I really wrote this record hoping that people would feel that they were spoken for. What I hear the most from people is, man, this song said what I can't. And that sticks with me, dude. Like, I realize how much music saying what we can't sometimes means to people. So I was like, that's what I want them to get from this album. And I want it to be a journey. And I wrote this album a lot different too, because even though the theme is the same, there's a little tempo in the middle of it. It kind of gets up and then it goes back down. I wanted it to feel like my actual concert feels. Like if you ever come to a Jelly Roll show, it's definitely up and then we bring the room back down and have a moment, because I want moments in the arena to feel like we're blowing the roof off of it. And I want moments to feel like we're all sitting down Indian style around a campfire. And that's how I wanted the album to feel. I want people to ingest it that way, I hope. You know what I mean? And I was very intentional about writing for what I felt like was for everybody,
In comparison to the last couple albums, do you feel like this is more mainstream because you have so much of a spotlight on you right now? Like, is there any I have to live up to the hype right now?
Man, I did the polar opposite, Bubba. You'd be so proud of me. When I felt like those walls were coming in, I immediately was like, right now is the time to double down on who we are.
Sick.
Right now is the time to write songs about struggling, or write songs about addiction, or write songs about heartbreak and pain and fucking rehabilitation and changing your life. And like immediately I was like, this isn't the time to drop a big pop record or the time to try to swing for a big old crazy, you know what I mean? Like this is the time to double down on who we are and who we speak for. When the world's watching, this is the time to do it, more than ever. I want to plant that flag in the ground forever, and this was the chance to do it, to be like, I want y'all to know what y'all getting from me. You know what I mean? This is a consistency, this is who I am, and we can grow together.
Very punk rock of you, my friend.
Thank you, my friend. I always say, go for the fuck you first,
Yeah.
right? You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, we're gonna do this a little different, man. This is fucking so dope.
This is so, dude, arena fucking tours
There's more.
cool. I know, bro. I'm so happy for you.
That's why I'm trying to do it right. It's fucking me being a nerd and showing my friend all my cool shit I got.
That's so cool. Okay, hold up, dude. Is that an ice bath?
Dog, come on.
You're bringing this every day with you?
No, this is even cooler. So
You have a rubber ducky in there, dude?
Yeah, what? How would I not have a rubber
Dude, please
ducky?
tell me you like float this little guy around when you're in there.
Oh, of course. It makes me think about fun stuff. It makes me happy.
While you're just
While you're just
suffering.
fucking miserable.
Yeah.
We brought the sauna.
Oh my God, you have a sauna?
Yeah.
What the fuck is wrong with you? This is so cool.
Is that not awesome? It's awesome, dude.
Wow.
It's like this is the routine. You know this. We talked about it privately, but this is the routine that helped me lose all the weight. So I wanted to make sure that I kept that momentum into the tour. Super important this time to prioritize. Normally I come on tour and I used to just fucking, you know how tour used to be for
For sure,
us.
you're just bored all day
When
and
we-
just smoke and
you
eat
just smoke
shitty
and
snacks.
Eat shitty snacks and then drink all night. And I was like, I don't want to do that, man. I want this tour to not only be the biggest tour of my life, I want to come out of it healthier than I've been in a long time, mentally, spiritually, physically, emotionally. I want to leave some transgressions on this tour, baby.
So should I just revoke my gym membership and just join the tour? and
Please,
just pull up?
dude. Come on.
So I've had another thing I want to ask you about. I have a couple of questions specifically on the album.
Yeah.
On the song Get By.
I love that my friend really showed up in interviewer mode for me all the way in
I
Utah,
got you, Bubba.
dog.
I love you,
Thank
dog.
baby. I love you, Bubba.
So on the song Get By,
Yes,
you said, 1,000 miles of gravel, I'm running with no shoes.
Mm.
Do your feet hurt? Did your feet hurt?
All the time. All the time. Listen,
It's a lot. It's a lot of running with no shoes.
Running,
Thorns. You got hot rocks. You're from the south.
That's it, dude. Fucking.
It's a lot. Snakes, glass.
Tons of glass.
So
dude.
much glass.
So many broken beer bottles.
Running down Broadway. It's so many broken
That's
beer
it. And that's
bottles.
that's exactly. I'm glad you called it. That's what I want people to feel in that moment. Just how dramatic of a line that is.
Exactly. So the answer is yes.
Yes.
Their feet are on fire.
On fire, son.
Okay. On the song Unpretty, you said there's a broken down car on a side street.
Mm.
Was that car by any chance the car on the Lonely Road album?
That's exactly
cover
what
art. Was that the car on the cover art of
I
Lonely
didn't think
Road?
we were going to talk about this.
I want everyone to know that that cover art of Lonely Road was the
This
cheapest.
is something I don't want everybody to know, by the way. Two totally different spirits here.
That car had nothing to do with us. That was just like outside of a studio that we were recording in, and we walked up and we're like, this car's pretty sick. We should just take a
Listen,
picture in front of
man.
this. Is this the cover art?
It's The Alchemist. The universe
For
was in
sure.
our favor.
For
We
sure.
were like, we got to find somewhere to shoot a picture. We walked on a side street in California. I was like, God, it's going to look so California.
Yeah, so we were like,
And then
we don't want this to look like
yeah.
California.
And then we looked up and seen the car, and it was like, oh. And I was like, no fucking way. That car's just sitting there, dude.
Okay. Who was clapping on the song Get By?
These are the best questions. I clapped that day too. I think me and Tedder might be the
Really?
clappers. I think me and Ryan Tedder are clapping on that song.
You guys were the
Or
hidden
Tedder's
clappers.
clapping. You've worked with Tedder. He'll just
Yeah.
sit there and pull my, hey, hit one of these right quick, Jelly.
Yep.
You're like, all right.
Okay.
I hit one of them for you, Tedder.
Ryan Tedder and Jason Jelly Roll were the hidden clappers on Get By.
Clip this and send it to Ryan Tedder, please.
You're one of the funnest dudes to be around ever, but absolutely like the funnest dude to be in a studio with. During this album, did you have any special moments or like really standout recording sessions that you'd care to share with just me? There's no cameras here or anything like that. You can just tell me. No one will know.
No, that's why I said how deep can I get, and I'm finna tell something real crazy. The funnest thing about it is we've got the 14 songs that we know are the album,
Yeah.
the A and B side of a vinyl as far as time-wise. But I'm sitting here in this arena right before my tour kicks off, and I'm not actually gonna turn in the last part of this album until like 3 weeks before we go to shelf.
Whoa.
So I'm writing right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, so if you got another good idea,
You
throw it
sly
at me.
motherfucker.
You know me, baby. I'm pushing to the deadline.
I knew it.
I got to keep cooking. So for me, the process is, and we've talked about this, the song's never finished, we just stop.
Yeah.
Like as an artist, we never actually really finish a song because we would just keep fucking with them. So the recording process for this, knowing that that's my personality, Zach Crowell has been perfect for me because he allows me to like really slow cook songs. Like write them, send them in. Okay, now send it back with an acoustic version. All right, let's switch the key a couple times. And like, we'll really like pick apart. There's Hey Mama on this record, the song I wrote about my wife that everybody thinks I wrote about my mom.
I
Fuck, I gotta
definitely
figure that
went
out.
into it thinking it was about your mom.
I know, I
then
gotta figure this out. But anyway.
No, why? Hold on. I just thought that with the title, and then the first 2 seconds when you hear Bunny's voice, you're like, oh, I know.
Right?
Yeah.
That's why we did that. I was like, let's put Bunny on
Yeah.
here. But I've changed that guitar like we did for Lonely Road. I've changed that guitar in key of that song so many times.
Got you.
That even this version, I don't know what versions actually made the vinyl. I have never listened to it. I was so disconnected from it finally, where I was like, I love the record, I trust y'all, because I was getting, you know how we get in our head? I got in my head so bad, Bubba. I couldn't decipher which one I even liked anymore.
Yeah.
You know, you get like, sometimes you'll just get in your head about something, you're like, look, y'all, if y'all think this should make the album, I'm gonna trust y'all, because I don't think I don't know. I haven't heard a version that just, but so whatever they landed on, but I'm a real slow cook in the studio kind of guy as far as like building records and kind of picking them apart, doing them a little piece at a time. I just feel like the longer I can live with them, the more confident I can get in it too.
What was the quickest song you did on this album, and what was the most fun song you did on this album?
Man, People aren't gonna believe it. The quickest song we probably wrote on the album was I'm Not Okay. We were all so emotional after that concert, and it was just such a moment at
Which
3
concert?
or 4 o'clock in the morning. Just a tour night.
Oh.
We were in Wilmington, North Carolina at an amphitheater. And my buddy Ashley Gurley's one of the greatest songwriters ever, came out to see the show. And he'd never really seen my show. And now this dude's wrote 75. He's one of the greatest songwriters ever. He's seen everybody's show. And he got on the bus that night and he looked at me and said, man, that is different, man. He said, that was a spiritual experience. I said, man, we make it okay to not be okay. And right then, Taylor Phillips was sitting next to us. He was like, that's it. And man, some songs, the way they get wrote, you look back and you go, oh, I remember exactly how this happened. And some songs you just look back and go, man, I don't even know if I added to that song, or I don't know who wrote it at all. Like literally, I think God wrote this song. Like sometimes songs just come together like that, where everybody in the room looks up after the song is wrote and go, who said what again? Did we write this just now? It was that moment for I'm Not Okay. I tell you, the most fun on the album for me was Heart of Stone. It's my favorite song on the album. And the two keep flipping between that and Winning Street, because I got to pour pain into something that you can dance to. Like, I always loved like that Avicii record with Aloe. You know what I mean? Like those moments where you're like, it was piercing you in a different way.
For sure.
This is Heart of Stone for me, right? It's like, this is that record where I'm like, dear Lord, can you hear me? You know what I mean? I'm shackled in these chains. I'm haunted by the lies of every time I said I'd change. I'm slipping through the shadows, that's weighing on my soul. The lights are shining on me, but there ain't nobody home. You know what I mean? Like, some songs when you read the lyrics, like imagine if it was read in a courtroom, you're like, that wasn't as cool as I thought it was. Mm-hmm. This song almost is cooler when you like actually go, you know what I mean? I'm wide awake and I'm dreaming, wondering where and when I fell apart. I've had enough of my demons, but angels only meet you where you are, and I'm in the dark. That song is fucking sick. If it never gets the acknowledgement it deserves, that's okay, because as a songwriter, I can go to sleep at night knowing that we wrote the fuck out of that song. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That we didn't cut any corner on that record. You know, sometimes you'll cut a corner because it's easier to go this way.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't want to keep fighting over a vowel, and this is the most obvious one. This is like super technical shit, but this is one of those where we had two or three sessions writing this song. The same group of guys. Me, Shy Carter, the same 3-4 dudes every single time. It's 2-3 dudes sit down every single time and just keep just chiseling at it. Like, this ain't it. And there's a lot of that on this album, man. Hold on, you gotta see this. This is my favorite part. You know what? I'll let y'all in here, but this is private. I'll let y'all in, this is special. You'll see why. I heard there was a bus dog in here.
What?
Hey, bus doggy.
What's up, dude?
Hey, bussy man.
Oh my God. Hi.
How cool is that?
That's so cool.
He made it, dude. Every time I see you, you just look more and more clear.
Me?
Yeah, it's getting crazy.
Oh, dude, thank you, bro. Likewise.
Look, my wife picked on me for this, but look at my wardrobe for the night.
Okay, so what I love most about this is that you went so many varieties of colors.
Right?
And you really
killed it,
are gonna
dude.
keep them guessing, dude. This
Every
is gonna be
night. You
sick.
never know what I'm gonna wear.
Not at all.
Like, I'm really
are you gonna wear this one? Or if I was you though, I'd probably go with like
Listen,
this one right here.
Bubba, let me tell you something. Everybody's got a fashionable friend, and God gave me you. You know what I'm saying?
Oh my God, no, I love you. I envy this. This is the wardrobe of a very secure soul. Someone who's like, I'm just me.
No, Polar, I was like, let's just go all the way Johnny Cash out.
Yeah, dude, for sure. And then this is for me on my guest appearances.
Yeah, whatever you want to go.
That's a laundry hammer.
Hey, Bus, I'll hit that. by the way.
I've made more interesting things than the
I'm ready
clothes.
to. What's crazy about you is you'd find a way to wear that and make it
I
look
would.
cool.
Wardrobe cases.
How did it feel your first arena tour like this?
That was probably the first time I ever let myself feel like, oh man, we did it.
Right.
Like, yeah. Like at event, like you know what? That was the first time. Like when you pull up into arenas and each one has like a welcome.
You did it in Oklahoma City, right? Where y'all rehearsed that for the week before your first show?
Or even just getting to rehearse in an arena.
Was you anxious that whole week? Like when you seen the helicopter the first time in the arena,
For sure.
did you get like nervous, like, oh my God?
Yeah.
I did too, dog.
Yeah. And then I
Like
went 60
scared,
feet in the
kind
air,
of.
and then I got even more nervous. Stuff like this, like the epitome of what we grew up watching on music docs behind the stage. It just like, it was like everything that I watched on TV of all the artists and the icons and the legends and stuff. Like this was, it's funny how something as simple as like a wardrobe case
It was just crazy
was
when
like,
I first got
whoa,
one.
bro. Instead of having like,
Yeah.
oh, like the luggages and, you know, like.
And I'll tell you how bad, I felt bad having a wardrobe case the first 6 months.
So did I, because
I
also.
felt like guilty because I'd look and like the band would be over
That's
there,
what I
like,
was
in
just
their
about to say.
suitcase.
Sometimes the band's in the
And I'm
suitcase
like,
and you're in the wardrobe case. Like, oh, fuck.
damn, y'all. I felt so bad. So
But
then
now
we
the band
I
got
the band
wardrobe cases,
Big
dude.
wardrobe cases, son. Big wardrobe case. They got a wardrobe case right after that because I felt that guilty.
I,
was
I,
like,
they, I
man,
swear to God,
They had
that
to share
is
one,
same
though.
thing happened
I
with me.
felt
I
bad.
know, dude, I know.
Get out of here. Look how the bus dog has just made himself a part of the shot.
Dude, he knows
Y'all
he made it
catching
too. Hey, homie, let's be very clear. You made it. You made it. Your dad made it. All right, let's switch things up a little bit. I see the amount of sinners and newly found beginners that connect with the human and the brand that is Jelly Roll. My favorite are the stories of the people where, you know, maybe they heard it in rehab or maybe they'll hear it in prison. This album will for sure be one of those that I'm sure will get a lot of people through a lot of those times. And was there a country song for you when you were locked up, or an artist that, you know, was what you are to people now for you back then?
Oh, man. So country music's been present in my life my whole life. So it's all like, my mama was the kind of person that she would play songs and then she would like narrate them a little bit before they would start.
Yeah.
She would kind of walk you into them a little bit and kind of like already preset an emotion. It was like theater to us to get in the kitchen and watch her play these old records. So like, I think about the first time I was telling her naively at 10 years old or 11 years old about The Gambler or 12, and she's like, have you ever heard Coward of the County? And she plays another flip on the record, kind of the same style of The Gambler. But it's about a man whose daddy always told him, his daddy was an old gangster, but his daddy would tell him, you know, just promise me, son, not to do the things I've done. Just walk away from trouble if you can. It don't mean you're weak if you turn the other cheek. Son, you don't have to fight to be a man. And in this song, crazy, right? But in this song, it's deeper. I'm finna blow your mind right now. His old lady gets raped. And he knows where they are. The Gatlin boys raped her. So he shows up to the bar one night. This isn't a song, dog. And I'm listening to this at 12 with my mom, like, what the fuck is happening? And he walks in and he opens the door and he walks into the bar and everybody looks at him. And the song says verbatim, you could hear a pin drop when Old Yeller turned around and knocked the door. They called him Old Yeller because he was always scared. You know what I mean? And he beats the shit out of everybody in the bar. He just whoops the whole bar on some fucking Sylvester Stallone shit and walks straight out. This isn't a song. I was so fucking obsessed with this song and the way it made me feel. Like all of a sudden I felt like justice was like served. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that somebody had even took the time to write a song about a young woman going through that and about a man, like just all these thoughts and layers into this record. Even then I was like, man. And then she'd play like Bette Midler and we'd cry. And then she'd play another song and then she'd play something lighthearted. And so yeah, man, I could tell you 1,000 of those stories.
No, that was.
You know what I mean?
Is there any positives to your addiction? Obviously, it's so present in the music, so nip that in the bud for like, oh, it's positive because it gives me something to write about. But is there anything positive about your addiction?
I think that, yeah, what I learned is that my personality wasn't as negative. It was only negative the way that I used it. That addictive kind of personality was
Sick.
like, it really serves me well when I'm focused on the right things. You know what I mean? And I've also had to learn that I do have to take moderation in everything still. But it really helps me because now I still create endlessly, like you. You know what I mean? Like I see it in the way you create. You still create old-fashioned like 10, 12, 13-hour sessions if that's what it takes. Like play with a song for 2 or 3 years. Like that's that personality that, if done the wrong way, You know what I mean? It's a totally different version of you, right? But done the right way, it's brilliant at times. You know what I mean? You're
Right.
watching, you're just like, oh, that's what makes him so great. You know what I mean? Is that he gets lost in the music for months and years at a time, and then pokes his head out like, oh shit, shit's happening, I'm putting a record out.
But in me getting lost in the music, the unfortunate part is that I still do it immaturely, where I'm like, I have to torture myself to make a reason for my pain to then come out in my music.
Right.
So
See, it's the opposite for me.
I know, and that's what I was actually gonna get to was, you bring up moderation. Now, nothing about this type of lifestyle is moderate. And so my question for you would be, is there a world where you can have a flourishing career and a flourishing family?
God, man, this is heavy. I struggle with that.
I know. So
But I
like
tell you a
the
quote-
real answer,
Here's
instead
the-
of like the sugar-coated, like, of course you can.
The real answer is it's not true. The real answer that somebody gave me the other day is, the greatest curse we can give a kid is the unlived life of a parent.
Break that down for me.
So like, the worst thing that we can do as parents is not live our life, to not allow our children to see us live our lives. You know what I mean? And I want to make sure I get the context completely right, but the idea is that what your daughter and my daughter see in lack of our presence at times is consistency. They see hard work, they see integrity, they see values, they see morals. You know what I mean? They see somebody who's not afraid to trace their dream and try to see how far it can actually go. Now, because of that, we sacrifice time at times, you know what I mean? But imagine had we not done this dream, I think our children would have felt the fact that we didn't even try. You know what I mean? To try to live out our dream. So I think us living our life is the best thing we can do. And I also think that it's such a hard balance because I have such a responsibility to my daughter and I have such a responsibility to my wife and my family, and I'm so anchored down in them in everything I do. But man, God also gave me this platform and this responsibility that we are able to help so many millions of people. We're like, so many people are helped just because we write songs that can maybe sometimes articulate the words they can't. So you have this real heavy thing on you that's kind of like, man, because sometimes I feel like I'm kicking ass out here, but I'm really failing at home.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then sometimes I feel like I'm kicking ass at home, but I'm really failing out here. You've been finding presence though. I mean, I think you and I balanced it the best with the kids. The first thing we did was we implemented a new rule in our house. Me and my wife have had this rule since we got married. It's our 2-week rule, because she travels a bunch for the pod and I travel a bunch for the music, and I'm gone 250 days a year, you know? But our rule is real simple: no more than 2 weeks, ever, under no circumstance. That 14th day come around, one of us got to stop, sacrifice a day, and find the other one. You know what I mean? We're doing that with the kid now too. It's like, look, man, I know I traveled a bunch. During the summer, once a week, school year, every 2 weeks, you got to come see me. We got to spend time together. We got to remember what our relationship is and what the foundation. We can't let it get lost because I'm not present in the household. Like, we're still us. You know what I mean?
Is there, like, what would you say the culmination of what you discovered about yourself was after you listened back to Beautifully Broken in its entirety?
I think the biggest thing I got from, especially on the writing side of this album, was it was very, it shows my growth, even as a writer, but also as like, there's a lot more optimism in this album than traditionally. You know what I mean? Like, even I'm Not Okay, like, let's think about Save Me, right? Save Me ends with life has shattered my hopes and my dreams.
Yeah.
There's no turnaround, it's just a complete, because that's exactly where I was in my life now, then. You know, where on this record, it's like, records like, I'm Not Okay, but it's all gonna be all right. You know what I mean? Like, understanding that it's okay to not be okay and have these moments and just assess my feelings. You know what I mean? Like, being honest about my feelings now is a whole new concept for me in general anyways. It used to always just be anger. You know what I mean? Now it's like, oh man, I'm just sad about that. I feel I'm hurt because, or I feel, you know, this is what I feel attached to this. And this album, you see that growth. Because my goal is that this kind of always arcs up. You know what I mean? And I'm kind of always letting the flower bloom a little more with what I'm growing as a human. I'm hoping that's always reflective on the songwriting side too.
So the last album you would say was The Frown, and this album you have turned it upside down?
No, I would say it's more of like a straight.
Okay, so it's just
a straight line.
okay, it's just straight line.
It's maybe even frownish.
Okay,
You know what I'm saying?
frownish is good.
Yeah.
Okay, so this album, frownish, but
Frownish.
you've seen the
The
muscle
last one was
attempts.
full frown.
For sure.
This one's frown-ish. You know what I'm saying? So
but
it's
at
getting
least
better.
now we're seeing the attempt of the muscle to hit a.
You can genuinely see my change.
Yeah.
You can see the thing. Okay, he's making small improvements. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Did you think about the impact of the tour the first time you walked into the arenas? Like the souls. Because something about you that I know is like me, and this is where we connect as friends, is that I don't look at it like a ticket sale. I look at it like a soul.
So what when I had that realization was when they gave me the ultimatum. This is your first big money grab. This is the first time you'll leave with some money in your pockets. But if you want the show to be the extremities that you're saying, you aren't gonna leave with that money. That money's going to the stage and to the fans.
You got goosebumps, bro.
And so when I see what is out there, I'm like, Jelly made that choice to impact the crowd versus impact his pockets.
I did what you did. I was like, I don't want to make the money. I want to put on the best show I can put in this arena. Whatever that costs, and if we have to walk away from this thing dead even, I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
If we can genuinely say we put on the best show so many people have ever seen, man. It was like, it's just, because that's the purpose. This is church. Like, I'm trying to create that kind of a sanctuary for people in this building. For like 5 hours, you and I have this opportunity to turn this into a safe place for people in a place that's not very safe right now.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
That's fucking impact, Bubba.
Nothing's cooler than coming to a town and knowing that the show's so massive that everybody in that town knows you're there.
So cool, dude.
And when I would come and we set that precedent, like everyone's gonna wear pink and the whole town would just be flooded with pink shirts, pink hair, this, and this, people expressing themselves. Even the buses rolling through the town I just had that feeling where we pulled in the parking lot, we were like, dude, look at all the Jelly Roll trucks. Like,
Yes.
You're gonna give people that excitement that like I used to have when you would see Barnum and Bailey is in town or something.
Yes,
And
when
like,
the circus was
for
there.
For sure,
That's how I
and you're
felt
like,
too.
dude, there's a fair in our town today. Look at all the rides and all
Yes.
the...
And the rules didn't matter for that night.
No.
That's the best part.
Yes, dude, and you're doing it, and like you did this with art that matters. It's not surface level foam on the ocean that just like as soon as it hits the sand just becomes one with it and it goes away. This is like, these are waves that people on the beach are sitting there and are like, dude, look at that one right there.
Yes, baby. Yes, baby.
As artists, the vision of an album is so important. Is recording a country album in the South important to you?
Well, to me, what's important, not necessarily where you record it, because music's made everywhere.
Right.
But it's important that it feels how we are no matter where we are. Because there was a time in my life where I would let my environment dictate the mood of the music at times, you know, where I felt like, oh, we're here, we should be making this kind of music, or we should be doing this. And it's like, my new goal in life is to turn everywhere I go for the last 4 years into a honky-tonk. You've seen it firsthand. It don't matter what bar we walk into, what bowling alley we walk into.
This is true, bro.
I turn it into a honky-tonk.
That is so true.
It's crazy, right?
Yes.
It's what I do. To me, that's what I started realizing was like, this is just who I am anyways. This is who we always were, you know? So recording in that matter, but it's important to me. What's most important is that there's always Nashville players on my record.
And sonically, are you aware of what makes a country album a country album?
It's fun to talk about this with you because you produce your own records. I've seen that hands-on. I believe that we have two different jobs, right? That my job is to write the songs. My job is, I'm bringing 3 chords and the truth. That's what I bring to the table. How you dress it, with the Ernest says it best. My buddy Ernest, you love Ernest. Ernest loves you. Ernest says it best. He goes, Jelly Roll's always in the same living room. He just fucks it with the furniture. He just changes the furniture out.
Right.
But Jelly's always in the same living room. He's just messing with the furniture. And to me, that's the thing, is like, I allow them to mess with the furniture, and I'll put my input if I think it's getting too one way or the other for what I am true to. But where my stuff comes in is from here. I'm turning in almost all these songs on pianos or just guitars. You know what I mean? Like, that's how we're just turning them in. Like, I'm calling my producer, Zach Crowell, like, yo, I'm sending over like 5 records I wrote on the bus with just a guitar. Tell me if any of them's worth sending you a stem for. Old school, like, sing them in the phone. You know what I'm saying? Like, tell me if any of these are cool.
Well, when I listened to it, and just having listened to your whole discography, right, like, you have a very blatant, like, old soul. And it comes across in your music, it comes across in your voice. When my friend was playing Lonely Road, and when we were on a boat, we were just, you know, wake surfing and, you know, hanging out in the sun. And your verse came on, and he was just like, man, Jelly just has this, like, this just old soul, like this grit to his voice. And I liked how on this new album, on Beautifully Broken, there's a song called When the Drugs Don't Work, where the chorus, you did something interesting. It was almost a page out of like hip hop, because it was this very verbed out, haunting girl singing this chorus, and it's almost like such a classic like rap song thing to do. Like we love like haunting female choruses, you know. And I heard this on a country album, and I was like, hell yeah.
Dude, the coolest thing about this is Ilse sends me this record, right? Just not the record, just like a snippet of a hook. And she's like, do you want to play with this? And the first thing I said, which is important to say here now, is that Doobie had a record called When the Drugs Don't Work a few years ago that went platinum. One of our good friends from Columbus, Ohio.
Shout out Doobie. Yep.
So the first thing I tell her is like, hey, I'll be honest with you, my friend's got a song called that, but I love it. Let me see what I can do with it. And then I started cooking on it. You know how we'll do? Like, I started putting pieces to it. And every time I would try to take her off the hook, it just felt like I did her a disservice and I did the song a disservice. You know what I mean? It felt old school hip hop. Like, even when I sang it, I was like, yo. And then we sang the first couple together and I was like, it's not it. I was like, it's gotta be like, put art first here. Like, don't, my fight in the production room and in the writer's room constantly is like, I know we're in an era where we think art don't matter because we're all in 20-second sound bites on TikTok, or everybody's consuming songs at 2 minutes. But man, please, y'all, I promise people to honor the art. So you saying that just means something to me, because like I fought in that room like, yo, let's just keep her. Zach was with me all the way, but I was like, let's just keep her on there. I don't need nothing on that. Like, let's go. And then I'll tell you another more gangster move, and I'll never say who it was. But after the record turns in, people call like, hey, we should solicit such and such or such and such to get on this record.
I know this too well, bro.
Right? And it's like a bigger person, like a huge person. And you're just like, man, I already told Ilse she's staying on this record. You know what I mean? I was like, I already polished the paint off, dude. I was like, I already told Ilse she's, and I'm a man of my word. I called Ilse, was like, I'm keeping you on this record.
It sounding like it came from a sample, the sonics of it sounding like this was like, hey, check this out. The fact that it wasn't like, that's...
Once again, I love to give credit where it's due, man. Zach Crowell, he heard it from go.
I mean, dude.
He was enamored. He don't fight for many songs as a producer. It's just not his style, because I turned in so many songs. He's just like, whatever. But he was like, I'm telling you, man, this record is like, let's keep it grimy, let's keep it gritty, let's keep it airy, let's keep it, I was like, all right, I'm in.
So that's my favorite song on the record.
And it's my top 3, for sure.
That's my favorite because also, and you tell this about me, you're like, my favorite MGK is the one who borderline just pisses everybody off by breaking a boundary.
Right.
Like I the one that constantly keeps me re-interested by being like, what is he doing right now?
Right.
I mean, I guess people would be like, of course your favorite song is When the Drugs Don't Work, just because I loved drugs.
Right.
But I just thought the sonics that you brought into a country album with that's such a key element in rap, is sampling.
Right, yes, 100%.
And most of the time we sample, like our voices, they're like gritty and deep and we always counter it with these like high, haunting girl samples. And you did that on this record, which right at the height of your artist spotlight, but definitely country spotlight, where people are like, you have an old soul, like maintain the country sound and all that. Like, you did something off kilter, and I thought it was genius, and I love that fucking song.
Thank you, baby. Thank you, man. Always. It's like our record at the end of the album.
Yeah.
Same concept, where I was like, I kept putting the art first. I couldn't even get you and Slim to see it at first. You're like, no, they should hear you first. It's your record. I was like, no.
Oh, I wanted to be off that
you know
song
what I mean?
so bad.
I was like,
please.
yo, it was like, why don't you just sing it completely?
Yes.
I was like, no. And then you're like, you do the high part, because you went and did the high part at first for me to do.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
I'll do
yeah.
the lows and you come in on the high and the bridge. And I was like, no, man. This is how, I'm telling you, man, the art is, it was so your story. It was so, it felt so personal to who you are and your situation and you as a human and the growth and what you've, the changes you've made. And I heard it, I was like, this is it, dude. Like, fuck you. That's why I just treat, like, you just do it, trust me. I just like, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna sing over the high part, don't worry.
Yeah, I listened to it. My favorite part, I listened to the album being like, I finally get to hear Jelly sing this part on Time of Day. Like, he's been telling me he was gonna re-record it and take me off. But I listened to it. You're still not on it, you asshole. It's still just me the whole fucking time. It's so annoying. I hate you. I love you.
I was arguing with you so late that night. I was just like, I got it. Don't worry. I promise. And I felt like I just got to burp him and put him to bed.
You did. You burped me and put me to bed, dog. You should have seen my face when I was in the car listening. I was like, it's the album version, dude. Jelly's gonna sing the high part. I was listening, and I fucking came in. They said the whole. I was like, this motherfucker
so
is.
good, dude.
Well, in the country space, is there subgenres of country, and do those get the respect of the big pool of what country is? And thirdly, are you in one of those subsidiary genres of country, or are you a country artist?
Dude, it's funny. I was talking about this a lot with people. I think that's the difference between rock and country. I think it's where rock kind of fucked up, to be honest.
I think so,
It kind
too.
of ate itself
I
by
do, too.
kind of making all these different subgenres, and it divides a fan base. Where country music has been really good at saying we're country music and we accept any form that we feel is true to what country music is. If that can be sonically from Tyler Childers all the way to Sam Hunt, who's got 808s and programmed synthesizers in his music, right? There's such a wide, and country right now, never been broader. So like,
and I'm watching what's happening with country music, and I'm like, you guys have all accepted open arms with like whatever for the cause. We're rocking with you because country needed a mainstream presence again.
Yeah.
And
you know why? Because you go fast alone but far together, baby. And country music got it, right? Country music immediately figured it out. And what of rock is still thriving is because they stick together. Now there's still, you have like mainstream country at times, and there's still like little categories, but we don't get so caught up in it that it's like, and also I look at it different as a community too, is that even if you do make red dirt music, or like one of these like you could call a subgenre of country music or not mainstream country music, I still think you're country.
yeah.
Like Sturgill Simpson definitely does his own thing. I think he's one of the greatest country music artists ever.
Yeah.
I don't even know if he really considers himself a country music artist, but like he's so fucking Kentucky, I can't hear nothing but country out of him in bluegrass. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And to me, I think he's brilliant and one of the greatest to ever do it. And he has no aspiration to have any mainstream radio play, or he just kind of wants to do it the way he's always done it. And I still look at that like country as shit. But it's the exact same way I look at Dan and Shay as country. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I don't allow those lines to get blurred. And I think that this speaks bigger to what's happening in music and more of even what's happening in society. Is that we've become so tribal that we just want to keep breaking our boxes down. And we used to be a community. You know what I mean? It used to be about how you could expand the community and get more people involved. And now it's how can you get into the smallest box you can, you know?
Well, to me, I can look at Tom Petty, and I can look at Flea from Chili Peppers, and I can look at Prince. They're all rock and roll to me.
All rock and roll to me, dude. Agreed.
And
100%.
I don't know when it came into this like vanity aspect of like, this can't be rock and roll.
Yeah.
Because I look at all three of those motherfuckers and I'm like, well, if that's the case, then who is the rock and roll one of all three of those? And if you pick one, I think you're out of your mind, because all three were such important, you know, like, and I mean, the plethora of different looks. Like if you go from what Garth Brooks looked like to what Jelly Roll looks like.
Right.
And you have to choose like what looks like country, then we have just missed.
Right.
And if you had to choose and be without one, we've just missed such a huge turning point in country music and importance in what you brought to the table. Because if people were gonna look at you and see you had face tattoos and you came from, you know, country and rap and are gonna be like, well, this just doesn't fit the format, then I mean, I think we would have lost a huge, huge ingredient in why country is such a good meal right now.
Thank you for that. I'm glad I played a little part in what has been the explosion of it. And I'm a cliff note to what some of the other guys are doing, but to be in this moment in country music and to be embraced, and I never heard I wasn't. You hear it from like a couple of people online that aren't gonna like, you know, go to anybody's show anyways. Because there's a group of people in America that are just not supportive in general. You know what I'm saying? They're just negative. But besides that, man, I never heard it from anybody in the genre.
Yeah. Well, I loved listening to the album this morning. Probably secretly also because I knew they leaked it to me and that it just felt naughty.
Thank you for coming up. This is indicative of who you are as a human and a friend. Flying out here to Utah, man, it's just to come just chat with me on Spotify and us do the countdown to the biggest album of my career, God willing. You know what I mean? And every road is saying that this is the biggest album of my career, and I wouldn't want to share this moment with anybody else. And thank you for closing it out. You are the last track on the album.
The way we closed it out. Look.
Yes, sir.
Dear God, thank you so much for allowing two humans who are kindred souls but have lived completely different lives be able to come together. Thank you so much for allowing me to find a big brother in Jelly. And I just want him to know how proud, not just I am, but of all the people that are around and have watched his amazing and unique journey come to this point. And he's only just getting started. And I think I speak for us all when I say we're so grateful to be on this ride with you. So proud of you, dude, and enjoy this journey. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, brother, man. Let me cry, brother. I love you, brother. You didn't have to do this, man.
No,
Thank you, brother. Help your fat friend up.
Strong pup.
Oh.